In H.P. Lovecraft's 1926 story, The Call of Cthulhu, the narrator begins the tale as an average man simply pulling on a thread of curiosity when he discovers some unusual research notes, newspaper clippings, and a carving of a strange creature left behind by his deceased uncle. This little archive spurs the narrator to do his own research, moving beyond cryptic documentation and into interviews with others who have seen and experienced terrifying things. Things which hint that forces beyond human comprehension are at work, scheming and gathering power from the shadows. By the end of the story, the narrator has become completely paranoid and depressed. He says, "I have looked upon all that the universe has to hold of horror, and even the skies of spring and the flowers of summer must ever afterward be poison to me. But I do not think my life will be long. Who knows the end? What has risen may sink, what has sunk may rise. Loathsomeness waits and dreams in the deep, and decay spreads over the tottering cities of men. A time will come, but I must not, and cannot think." The story ends with this depiction of the narrator's descent into dejected nihilism. We don't see what happens to him after, but in the context of the narrative, it's hard to imagine he would ever be able to interact with the world the same way again. A lot of stories in the Cthulhu mythos end this way, with some character getting a brief glimpse of the beings operating in the spaces between spaces and being unable to ever just go back to normal. One of the recurring themes in Lovecraft's work is, be careful what you learn, because knowledge can change you permanently. I think about Lovecraft's cursed protagonists when I think about the time I read Stacy Clifford Simplican's The Capacity Contract. Stacy, if you're watching, I know you remind me of H.P. Lovecraft. Isn't something that every academic really wants to hear, but just stick with me. See, I too was intrigued by research notes, clippings from essays, and strange phrases I hadn't heard before. I too was just pulling on a thread of curiosity. PhilosophyTube's Abigail Thorne had cited the book when talking about communities of vulnerability, meaning communities in which fellowship was offered on the basis of common need, not because of what a prospective member could provide. Fascinated, I cracked open my own copy of that grimoire, and among the many ideas in the book that wrapped their tentacles around me, one idea in particular felt like it unlocked some kind of third eye in my mind. In the book, Simplican proposes a simple question that upended my life. How can severely cognitively disabled people participate in democracy and advocate for their needs within the system? The system is designed around citizens watching, reading, consuming political content, synthesizing and interpreting that information, and then going to a polling place and choosing a representative based on policy positions that would benefit them the most. What if a person cannot read, cannot synthesize and interpret, and cannot go somewhere and pull a lever for a candidate? Are they simply barred from participating in democracy? Are they even still a citizen? The thought haunted me. I had no answer, no ready-made thought-terminating cliche in my back pocket. No protective propaganda amulet designed by some fossil fuel-funded think tank to help me ignore it and entice me to resume work as an obedient cog in the machine. And from there I pulled on more threads. Marta Russell and Robert McRuer's examinations of disability in capitalist society, Achille Mbembe's depictions of colonial capitalism keeping undesirable populations in a state of precarious living death, the Salvage Collective's sober evaluation of climate change's imminent threat to the world's food supply, Michael Parenti's caustic tour of Americans' use of fascism to protect capitalism, and so many more. And these eldritch tomes and cursed lectures on YouTube inspired me to begin seeking out these shadowy cults trading in this forbidden knowledge. Cults with mysterious names like the DSA, the IWW, Food Not Bombs, Critical Resistance, and others. I began to meet more and more people out in the world who were racialized, disabled, queer, poor, and many times all of those at the same time. It was these people who showed me with unignorable clarity just how different it is to navigate the United States while black, how prison upholds the system of slavery that built this country, how disability accommodations are routinely illegally ignored without recourse, and just how expensive it is to live in poverty. And now, like a Lovecraft protagonist, I am unable to see the world the same way that I did even 5 years ago. I have glimpsed the occult geometry undergirding the sites of power in this world, and now I can see through the illusory magic that so much of modern life relies on. I can see the pernicious hierarchies maintained by racial violence. I can see capitalism's cyclopean thumb pressed down on workers, both abled and disabled, trapping people in debt, pitting them against each other, creating a permanent underclass to exploit. And I can see these systems ailing, bleeding, rotting, and hungrily lashing out at migrants and trans people, the mentally ill, the incarcerated, the unhoused, every kind of other, using them as a sacrifice to feed the status quo and keep it alive just a little longer. I know the truth about the world, and it makes me miserable, makes me anxious, makes me afraid for my family, and especially for my small daughter. Because just having this knowledge doesn't protect you from anything. It just reminds you how small and vulnerable you really are in this universe. Because here's the thing, I have a comfortable life. I have a job that pays well with benefits. My family has a 2-story house in a nice neighborhood, a car for each adult, a yard to play in, a kitchen overflowing with food, and drawers full of clothes. By all outside appearances, my family's life is safe and secure. And yet, my forbidden studies strip away this bright veneer and show the reality behind the facade. In truth, my family is perched near, but not on, the edge of an abyss of precarity. In the United States, the slightest breeze could push us right up to the brink. The last few years, my country has been in the grip of a deadly pandemic that a third of the country either doesn't believe exists, or else is actively trying to spread to themselves in a show of toxic arrogance. But death is only one of the horrors that the pandemic can manifest. Many thousands of people who recovered from COVID-19 have become disabled long-term and possibly permanently. Under our for-profit predatory healthcare system, this results in mounting unpayable medical bills. And because the United States has a political commitment to the hatred of the disabled, those ludicrous medical bills are often paired with a loss of work, a loss of income, a loss of access to the public sphere, and thus an inescapable cycle of poverty. All it would take is one unmasked person at a grocery store, one stray droplet of breath in the air, one wrong turn from a disease ravaging its way through a body, and my family could be plunged into a nightmare that the system will prolong, if not exacerbate, because it is profitable to do so. The last few years, my country has been reckoning with unaccountable police murdering unarmed civilians with near total impunity. The prison industrial complex has this country in a rear-naked choke, and even progressive politicians are lining up to lick the boots of state terror forces. We have a moral duty to monitor and intervene against any abusive police action, and yet we know what happens to those who resist, those who are swallowed up into the prison system. Abuse, forced labor, neglect, and a marred reputation that again results in a loss of work, a loss of income, a loss of access to the public sphere, and yes, a nearly inescapable cycle of poverty. All it would take is one out-of-control cop, one spontaneous intervention to save his victim, one gung-ho law and order DA looking to score political points, and once again, my family's comfortable life as we know it is over. Actually, do you want to know the truly debilitating realization my forbidden studies give me? It's not the awareness of the abyss of precarity or my proximity to it. It's the knowledge that the abyss is getting bigger. Inch by inch, year by year, its maw opens just a little wider, swallows up just a little more. Every year, for example, the effects of climate change get just a little worse. Another famine here, another deadly flood there, and every year capitalists use these disasters to privatize more sectors, weaken worker protections, affordable housing, and welfare programs, and the already meager environmental protections. As Naomi Klein observed in the Shock Doctrine, the dominant school of capitalist thought in this country counts on these natural disasters and armed conflicts to disorient the public and allow for hostile, profit-motivated takeovers. So what I know is that if nothing changes, the abyss is coming for my family even this far into the quote-unquote middle class. The systems at work have already extracted so much from so many. I know I'm the next vulnerable target with meat on my bones, just waiting to feed the machine. I can feel the slow cancellation of the future, capitalism's quivering throat muscles contracting around it inch by inch, year by year. Loathsomeness waits and dreams in the deep, and decay spreads over the tottering cities of men. A time will come, but I must not and cannot think. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya! Just kidding. H.P. Lovecraft's 1928 tale, The Dunwich Horror, concerns an unfortunate young man named Wilbur Whatley, son of a reclusive albino woman and a, unknown father. Wilbur lives with his grandfather, a pariah wizard known simply as Old Whatley. Wilbur and Old Whatley have some strange creature captive in their old farmhouse, a creature that's growing bigger and bigger, well beyond human proportions. When Old Whatley dies, Wilbur is left to care for the creature alone, a creature revealed to be his twin brother from the same father. A father who turns out to be Yog-Sothoth, an alien and unknowable entity from beyond time and space. Except this twin is much closer to its father in both appearance and power. After Wilbur dies trying to banish his twin, the creature breaks loose and begins to terrorize the countryside, killing several humans and some cops. Occult researchers from the local university band together and use their knowledge of the arcane arts to trap the creature and eventually kill it. Here, I'm going to break away from standard Cthulhu mythos lore and give the story a bit of an oppositional reading, because I see something really important going on here. Mere humans banding together with forbidden knowledge and arcane rituals and pushing back against the old gods. Again and again in the Cthulhu mythos, people are seeking forbidden knowledge that describes how to commune with terrors beyond this world, but that knowledge just as often explains how to bind to those things, how to repel them, or at least how to protect yourself from them. Even the ancient gods are not untouchable. Is that a bit of a stretch? Well, then let's return to the story that I began this video with, the Call of Cthulhu. Two things stand out to me. One, it's revealed that there's a cult of Cthulhu responsible not only for preserving the memories and rituals of the Great Old One, but also responsible for liberating him from his prison beneath the sea. That's who he's calling to and why he's calling. He needs compliant people in order to realize his goals. And in the climax of the story, a group of sailors inadvertently do just that. They open the impossible vault imprisoning Cthulhu. They allow him to surface into our world. These sailors then, in desperation, drive the bow of their ship through the emerging nightmare, knocking him back into the vault just in time for the prison to reclaim him. If you'll allow me to take some major liberties here, in the climax of the Call of Cthulhu, the working class joins together to knock a powerful boss flat on his ass. Huh? You feel me? You get it? In the works of H.P. Lovecraft, characters often succumb to despair because of the sheer powerlessness and insignificance they feel when they confront their minuscule place in the universe. Earth is just a speck of dirt, fortunate to be beneath the contempt or even notice of the many undescribable immortals walking the void. At any moment, some unnamed horror could evaporate the entire human race as carelessly as we kill bacteria using hand sanitizer. Earlier in this video, I was making a connection between Lovecraft's terrifying old ones and the forces in our own world that abuse and imperil us. Capitalism, white supremacy, ableism, the corporate and/or fascist cults that serve them, and so on. I was trying to make a connection between the despair that Lovecraft's characters feel and the very real despair that I fight against every day. But there's one key difference. We know that our great old ones are vulnerable to the combined might of the people. In the Dunwich Horror, 3 academics with a copy of the Necronomicon kill a god. In our world, it's going to take more than 3 academics with a copy of Wretched of the Earth to turn the tide against fascists like Ron DeSantis or the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. But then again, neither Ron DeSantis nor a bunch of cops are unknowable entities outside of time and space. They are flesh and blood. They have names and addresses, and anyone can reach out and touch them. In the Lovecraft mythos, there's just a handful of moldering magical tomes secreted away in anonymous libraries or some warlock's private collection. In our world, forbidden knowledge will be delivered to your door next day with Amazon Prime, even though Jeff Bezos is basically Nyarlathotep. I'm not saying it's easy. And I'm not saying it's trivial, but what I am saying is it's thinkable. The caveat? Alone, it's unthinkable. Alone, we slide into that growing, hungry abyss. But together, the working class, the racialized, the disabled, the queer, the unhoused, the incarcerated, the young, the old, together, we can knock a fucking god on his ass. I realize that's not the most detailed call to action, but I was really just trying to pull up before I completely disappeared into my own depressed asshole back there. I really do believe that a coalition of mere mortals can topple any power structure out there. But what do you think? What is the biggest obstacle to uniting against the ruling class in your opinion? Please share with us down in the comments. But if your answer is, identity politics, I'm gonna yeet you like they did to Yog Sothoth Jr. back there. Anyway, hope this video did something for you. Kind of a weird one just in time for spook season. Give it a like if you got something out of it. Please subscribe to get me closer to my goal of 50,000 subscribers, which is a goal I have for no earthly reason. And even if you don't do either of those things, please share this video with a beloved witch or warlock in your life. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. Thank you for helping me remember not to give up hope, and just looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good night.